Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for April 25th through the 30th. My name is Shawna McGrath. I'm an astrologer and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. We are in the middle of eclipse season, so we're between the new moon solar eclipse and the full moon lunar eclipse. And we're also within the beginning of the Mercury retrograde period. So we'll talk about what's going on this week in particular and looking ahead a little bit so that you can make the most out of the energies of this week. So first thing is what's happening within the eclipse sphere. That is the strongest energy right now, I think, and sort of like the backdrop of the other things that we'll talk about. So we had our solar eclipse in Aries this past week on the, let's see, what day was that? On the 19th of April. And so a new moon solar eclipse is the initiation into a portal, essentially. It's the beginning of moving into a period of transition where things can change and transform, where new things can come in and old things can dissipate and fall away very rapidly. This is the nature of eclipse season. And then we have our full moon lunar eclipse that's happening in Scorpio, and that's happening Friday, May 5th. And so we have, what's really interesting about this is that we have both eclipses in signs that are ruled by Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars and Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So this doesn't always happen. Typically, the eclipses are ruled by different planets and they're usually in polarity to one another. They're in opposite signs. In this case, because of the way that the nodes and the moon and the sun are falling, it happens to be not in a polarity, but coincidentally in signs ruled by Mars. And this means that there is a strong presence of Mars energy here. Mars is about confronting things, about being bold and decisive and taking action. It is the physicalness of our actions. And that can even be things like athleticism, and or also it can also be our comfort or discomfort with taking charge, taking action, making a stand, and our comfort or discomfort with saying or doing what needs to be done without let's see, how do I say this? Mars is I don't want to say unconcerned with ruffling feathers, because even when we do the thing that needs to be done or say something that we know may create waves, it doesn't mean that we do that without concern about it, but we do what needs to be done knowing that maybe there's going to be some waves or someone may not necessarily like the thing that you need to say, but that we do that because we want to maintain our integrity, or we want to draw a loving boundary, or it is what needs to happen at that point in time. And the minor waves that are happening right now are in service of a long-term goal or benefit. So through these eclipses, there's this strong theme of action through integrity, being courageous, holding space for your fears and vulnerabilities and insecurities, and acting even when you feel that way in a way that acting in a way that is in alignment with your truth and with your authenticity. Scorpio is very much about deep integrity and honesty within oneself. And Mars also has this protective, this guardian kind of quality to it. And we can see this manifest in different ways between Aries and Scorpio. Aries is more direct and confrontational in a kind of like in your face kind of way, whereas Scorpio has this guardian and protective kind of energy that is sort of more like, I want to say behind the scenes or secretive, but that's not quite it. It's sort of like a very quiet guardian and protectiveness. It's not as apparent. So these are themes that are present even now, even though we're in a week where we're not having eclipses this week. We're in the middle of the sandwich of the eclipses, but that energy is still churning and still moving. And so it's great for us to notice how these themes have come up. The other piece of this is that Mercury is fully retrograde now in the sign of Taurus. So these themes around contemplation and looking back at the past, looking at how you want to revise or redo or tweak something, changes that you want to make with an existing situation. These are all Mercury retrograde themes, especially surrounding whatever topics are ruled by Taurus in your birth chart. So the house that rules Taurus in your birth chart is going to be associated with particular topics, whether that's career or relationship or children, creative projects, finances, etc. That's going to help you hone in on the area of life where there is a rethinking, a revising kind of energy. Now, this week, the highlight that's happening, the energy that's getting activated is via the moon. We're having a first quarter moon in Leo on Thursday, the 27th. And so the moon is kind of like, it is our emotions and it is our subjective experience. It's also our early childhood patterning, our attachment styles, and the day-to-day transiting moon, like the first quarter moon in Leo, is a symbol of our day-to-day moods and thoughts and how we are feeling in this particular day, in this particular hour. It has that fluid, changeable quality of our mind body, the emotional mind. And so what's happening this week is the first quarter moon in Leo is about coming into contact where we may need to make a decision or make a sacrifice or decide between one thing and another thing. It can simply feel like kind of a sense of pressure sometimes. This is the nature of the first quarter moon. And this is happening in the sign of Leo, which is about creative self-expression, authentic self-expression, being loved and appreciated and adored by your loved ones. And it's also connecting in with this Mercury retrograde in Taurus kind of energy, because Sun is in Taurus, Mercury is in Taurus. And so I would really be looking at what's coming up for you, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as we're leading into that first quarter moon. What are situations that are bringing up some frustration or things where it just feels like you need to make a decision on something? This is a great week for becoming more clear on where to focus your energy. And remembering that you only have a finite amount of energy and time and resources, and it's up to you on how you want to invest those, and that we always have a choice on how we invest our time and energy and attention. Even though some of us, of course, have more options and leeway, you always can decide. You always have some element of control there. This first quarter moon in Leo is also connecting into Saturn. It's connecting into the sun making a sextile to Saturn. So we have two different aspects this week that are what I would consider minor aspects, but they're kind of like opportunity aspects, which is a sextile. So we have the sun making a sextile to Saturn, which is about Connecting in with your personal power, your ability to shine, and your ability to have a sense of confidence and accomplishment to do the things that need to be done, and to appreciate your accomplishments as well. We also have a sextile between Mars and Uranus. And Mars and Uranus is that element of surprise, that element of when you do something, Mars, you take action, Mars, then there is something magical and unexpected that can happen, Uranus. Now, these are both very minor aspects, and so typically they're not something that we really notice that's very striking, but the moon is connecting us into these this week. And we already have a lot of energy around change and transition. So I want you to be looking out for ways to take advantage of this Sun-Saturn, which is appreciating and accomplishing. And then the Mars-Uranus, which is about doing the thing that you need to do or taking action. And then where is there an element of synchronicity that's happening? And how can you take advantage of that? How can you lean into that? Okay, so let us pull some cards on this. So I'm pulling 3 cards as usual. I highly encourage you, if you have something in particular on your mind, to focus on that. You can ask a question, or it can just be thinking about a particular situation. Okay. All right. So we have the first card is the Page of Cups. Page of Cups is about new information or a message coming to you. This is also a reminder that either you, this might be you, might be someone else, it might be a scenario. It's a reminder that you have a lot of creative ideas and creative ability and very unique ideas. That there is something that's kind of like quirky, or maybe philosophical, or maybe like something that's kind of like outside of the norm, that is either an idea or an innovation that either is coming to you, or it's something that you have that you want to share with other people. Now, I did pull this reversed, and so this to me, when it's reversed, means that there's kind of like something that you need to figure out before there can be more flow around this idea or this insight. And this feels very Mercury retrograde to me. So I would kind of just, I would approach any kind of creative ideas or insights with some level of curiosity. I don't read the reversed cards as like, oh, this is bad and it's blocked. It's more like, oh, there's something here that needs like some kind of, it needs to be like massaged out sort of, or explored a little bit more. There's more information for you here. Now, I also pulled the Hanged Man, the Hanged Person. So this card is typically about inaction. This card typically is saying that the best thing that you can do right now is to do nothing. And I pulled this reversed. So I think that's really interesting, because when you look at it reversed, it almost looks like he's standing, but in a kind of weird way. And so this to me, this is not necessarily in the cards. This is kind of just the sense that I'm getting, is that there is some level of confusion about something, like a big thing, because the Hanged Man is a major arcana card. So it's usually topics that are more broad, life decisions versus something that's a day-to-day scenario. So there may be some confusion about what to do and kind of like feeling like paralyzed by the options. And that is what is creating the inaction. I'm also, when I'm looking at this, I'm really, for some reason, noticing the purple in the background. And the purple is the color of the crown chakra in most systems. And so it feels like, and he has like the crown chakra energy that's really lit up here in the head. And so it feels like there is kind of like maybe an overthinking about things, too many options, overly intellectualizing. That's like the crown chakra being out of balance. So if you are really resonating with this card, there's something here around like needing to get more into your body, or to slow down and to do something to disrupt the overthinking, the over analyzing. That's my sense. I hope that makes sense for some of you. That's just like a very particular sense that I was getting about that card. Okay, and then the last card is the moon card. So what I'm like thinking, all of these cards, there's a lot of kind of unclarity or confusion themes in them. So I don't know if that's how you're feeling. It feels very Mercury retrograde, right? So the moon card is a symbol of the unconscious, of things being hidden or unconscious. It's a symbol of, I see it as more of a symbol of the personal unconscious dynamics, versus the high priestess is more about the collective unconscious dynamics that we're tapping into. This card, the moon card, is to me more about something in your inner workings that might be unconscious that is emerging into consciousness, that there's something that you're experiencing that's kind of like a pattern that runs in the background without you realizing it, and that you are becoming more aware of it. And I really like that this is the last card if we're looking at this as like a 3-card spread, because there's first card, Page of Cups. There's something here that like wants to be expressed. There's an idea, new innovation, but there's kind of like an overthinking about it via the Hanged Man, which creates some paralysis, which actually might be the very best, you know, I think that Psyche has a wisdom to it, and where there might be like a discomfort with the inaction, and maybe it's not something that's necessarily helpful, but maybe that is exactly what needed to happen so that whatever has been unconscious can be worked out and can crawl out into consciousness, into your awareness. My spreads are usually not that particular, but I'm just like really feeling that. So I hope that that makes sense, or maybe there is something else that you got out of these. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you resonate with me and my work, I would absolutely love to do an astrology reading for you. You can find out more about that in my website below. And I'm sending you so much love and wishing you a really lovely week with some clarity and comfort and ease through this transitional process. All right, talk to you later. Bye.